It's warming up here. Let's see. I believe that we're feeding out to the folks. Let us know if there's any issues out there. Let me get this kicked off right. First of all, I want to welcome you guys to the #1 universally accepted by all newspapers, radio stations, and outlets around the world that are imaginary. The #1 podcast coming from a van. The Who Moved My Freedom podcast. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Hank Strange. I want to remind all you guys to go to hankstrange.com, sign up for our email list there. Look around the site. Lola's throwing up deals on Lola's Deals. You guys can go through that, get yourself some cool stuff, and also send us a couple of shekels. As Walter says, we need all of that. So thanks everyone in advance. Look around. We got merchandise on there, all kinds of cool things. Big shout out to a U.S. Law Shield. There we go. There's the Florida book for U.S. Law Shield. You guys can find a link in the description of this audio or this video that you're watching right now if you want to find out more info about that. Big shout out to Barnauls. Okay, there you go. Barnauls Performance Steel Case Ammunition. Can you guys even see this out there? Let's see. There we go. 9mm Luger. This is the good stuff, Vince.
You got some 45 or 223?
Not from Barnauls, but I'll see what I can do for you, Vince. All right, listen, let me load the guys up into the show here. This is going to be a great show, so I'm going to ask everyone out there to smash the thumbs ups, ring the bell, share this with your friends and everything, family out there. I'm gonna kick this off right now. Let's see, can we get it go?
Welcome back to the Hank Strange Situation.
Guys, don't forget to smash that subscribe button, smash the thumbs ups, ring those bells so you can be notified every time we go live. There you go, Walter, ringing the bells. We are live. I hope you guys have your big girl panties on. This is episode 750. 750, Vince.
750.
Wow, that's a lot of episodes.
Yeah, yes.
That's 3/4 of the way to perfection. 3/4 of the way to perfection.
Uh-huh.
I got to tell you real quick.
Sure, what's up?
I moved Tennessee a year ago. I don't nobody. I walked in to my CVS pharmacy to get my prescription the other day, and dude's like, "Dude, are you the dude that was on the Hank Strange show?"
Really? What?
Wow,
that's
Glue your
awesome.
cover, Vince. Glue your cover.
Yeah.
I was like, "Yes, I am. Would you like to buy my book?"
Yes,
There you go,
exactly.
there you go.
That's the first thing
There
you
you
have
go.
to. That's the first thing you have to do. So here we go. I'm going to continue with this, but I need everyone out there smash the thumbs ups and all that kind of stuff. Get this pop in here. It's going to be an awesome show. First of all, let's do the jazz hands. Come on, we can't forget that jazz hands. There we go, jazz hands. Okay. Hopefully you guys have your big girl panties on. As I said, this is episode 750 of the Who Moved My Freedom podcast. The title of the show tonight is ATF Says Serialize Everything. Everything. And joining us is retired agent Vince Cefalu, and he's going to be here for the whole show, as well as Walter Keller of Safety Harbor Firearms. And let me just say this to Vince. Vince, first of all, man, how was the surgery and everything? How did that
It's
go?
fine, man. I got a scar. Basically, I'm going to tell all kind of lies about it. You know, I was attacked by like 12 terrorists.
Got stabbed in the neck.
No, but I'm good. I'm back.
Yeah, I could totally picture Vince saying, Walter, I got stabbed in the neck by Osama bin Laden back in 03.
Before I killed him. Right
Yeah.
before I killed him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so glad that you came through that good. Do the doctors have any orders? Are you on any special, you supposed to, I mean, I see you're smoking, so I don't know. Oh, also drinking. So no special orders for you then.
Drink, smoke, shoot.
Okay, boom, there you go. And you know
Repeat.
what? Yeah, exactly. And you know what's funny, Walter? Vince is looking like he's looking like a wrestler today. He's looking like Hulk Hogan with that Hulk Hogan stash. I don't know anyway. Yeah, what else can we call this stash that Vince is rocking here today?
That's my kind of like Doc Holliday thing going
Yeah.
on. My
Yeah.
gunslinger.
Yeah,
Because I'm going to do a book. I'm gonna go do a book signing in Deadwood.
Oh, yes,
So
I saw that on Facebook.
yeah, I'm just getting in my zone, man.
Yeah, he's getting ready
There you
for
go.
the late. Well,
I
you're
may get
married.
to do that. I may shoot somebody in Deadwood, or somebody may shoot me.
Okay,
I'm
I saw
literally-
this is what you're hoping for, apparently.
I'm literally doing a book signing in the bar that Wild Bill Hickok was killed in.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So if I can sit at the exact same table and somebody comes up and puts a bullet in my face, you know what my book's gonna do? My book is gonna rocket.
But that's okay. I don't understand how you benefit from that. Maybe your heirs, maybe your kids out there will get. You know.
Dude, I'll be a legend.
Yeah. I mean, definitely our episodes with you might go up a couple of views, but we don't really want that though, Vince. We don't want that. Okay. Yeah. We're not looking for that. So listen, before we get into, well, actually, let me get to Walter. Walter, how you doing, man? Thanks for doing double duty.
All right.
Duty?
All
Duty?
right,
I don't know how to
no
say
problem.
that properly. Double
No problem.
duty.
Duty.
Yeah, duty. Okay. Doing good?
Yep. Everything's fine.
Yeah, Lola says Vince looks great. I'm happy seeing him doing so well after surgery. Vince, do you want to pitch the book? Let's start that off. You folks out there can help support Vince so he doesn't have to get shot in the face.
Pitch what book? Oh, you mean Rat Snakes? Cheating Death by Living a Lie? Yeah, that's all I got, man. That's all I got.
Okay, listen.
I come on here to talk with you guys because it's fun and it's informative. If
Yeah.
you buy my book, that'd be great too, but if
Yeah.
not, that's okay too.
It is fun. Please buy the book. Lola will probably throw up a link out there that you guys can use for Amazon. But there's lots of different places you can get the book, so go check that out. Shout out to everyone who's coming in. I see Cherry Wine is out there. Shout out to her and Tyven as well. I don't see Tyven yet. If anyone needs any special shout outs, let me know. I see C4 Defense out there as well. Flying Rich says, if it was gender reassignment, I'll ask for my money back. Vince did.
What?
This is what we say around here anytime you have to go for surgery. People, either you got certain parts enhanced, removed, or altered.
Dude, he cut on my neck. That's as low as he went.
Okay.
They did it with a butter knife, I think.
Yeah, okay. That's what Vince is saying. So there you go. All right.
I got your gender reassignment hanging, okay?
I got your gender reassignment right here.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah. Oh boy. There's so many ways we could take that. So listen, there's a lot of things going on out there. Walter, do you have any place you want to start here before I get into I've got a list of questions. There's obviously the stuff the news that came out today from ATF. What are you thinking, Walt?
Can you imagine if talking about serial numbering gun parts, right? That's one of the things they're talking about, right? Can you imagine if you own a company like Walther Arms,
Yeah.
which has millions of gun parts, What do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do?
It's yeah, it's basically that's a nightmare scenario, I think. Can
I chime in real quick?
Yes, go ahead.
Sure.
What did ATF say or do today that I'm not familiar with?
Yeah, okay, so listen, let's jump into this. I'm going to actually pull up the news. So if you guys go check out it's where is it? It's on Amoland News actually. That's here we go. I'll pull it up here. I'll pull up the story for you, Vince. So the story just came out from released from our friend John Crump. I need to set. Did you do an interview with John Crump of Amoland News? I'm not sure if you did. I'll help you get that set up though if you didn't do that. So here's the news. So it says leaked proposal: ATF's new rules take on ghost guns by serializing blocks of metal. That's the headline. So it says a new proposal by the BATF on unfinished firearms frames was leaked onto the internet. Stephen Gutowski, on his newly launched The Reload website, reports that obtained documentation embedded below that shows the ATF plans to deal with so-called ghost guns. MOLAN News sent this document to our ATF contacts. Although they could not verify the legitimacy of this exact document, everything appeared to be formatted correctly and includes changes MOLAN News has reported on in the past. Our sources believe this document to be authentic. And then the writer of the original article goes on to say, I obtained a document through a source, but no good journalist ever reveals their confidential sources who provide important information that the public deserves to know. So according to the report, any random part that the user could readily convert into a firearm will be subject to ATF regulations. As in the past, the document doesn't define what the term readily convertible means. This term could be that any block of metal could be readily convertible into a firearm. In fact, the document shows the ATF used a court case where it took the user 8 hours to convert a kit into a gun. The document does not highlight the need for a complete machine shop. The document does highlight, it does highlight the need for a complete machine shop, and qualified workers to complete a firearm would not fall under the proposed rules. So the document would mean new 80% AR-15 lower receivers, chunks of metals, would need a serial number and require the buyer to obtain a background check before the seller could transfer it, because it could be easily, quote-unquote, convertible with readily available tools. Yeah,
You're killing me.
Go ahead.
I've heard enough. I've heard enough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Nowhere in the Gun Control Act does it identify a chunk of metal as an upper or lower receiver or part of a firearm. Just tell me one tragic mass shooting or one tragic accident that has happened from one of these ghost guns. I mean, it's worthy of discussion to make sure that everybody's on the same page and whatever. But why are we talking about chunks of steel when we've got completed firearms rolling off the assembly lines as fast as they can make them and sell them? Why are we talking about that? Joe Biden said, we're going to regulate ghost guns. Why? I don't know of any, not in 36 years did I ever seize a ghost gun.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I mean, I don't think I could agree with you more here. Walter, did you want to add something before we...
So yeah, what they're saying is, when that for example, when that forging company forges that AR-15 forged blank chunk of metal,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to have to be serial numbered. And that's like stupid, because you can't, the average person, I don't care what they got, cannot readily make that into a lower that works. I mean, you can with hours and hours of work.
Yeah.
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 And we have all kinds of issues out there in the firearms industry that are actually causing consternation in America with the guns being out there. And why is that something we pick to look at? This obscure chunk of metal that if you have a metal lathe and if you have a drill press and if you have the plans and if you can do this, I've dealt with a lot of gangsters, a whole lot, and not one of them had the damn sense to be able to put together a ghost gun.
Thank you.
Or the money or the time. They will go down to the corner and buy a, street gun.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So we got $2 here from I'm gonna get the applause. Armament and Axis. He says the genie is out of the box, no going back. So I had a specific plan on how I was gonna do this, but I mean, obviously, this is really how we do the show. We jump in there and do things. I don't think that they want to focus on anything that will come close to solving the problems that we do have in America. So this is kind of like a boondoggle, you know. This is kind of like, oh, these things have like a weird, scary name. We're gonna go after them. If you have all the skills, the tools, the machinery, you can make whatever you want anyway. It's the most nonsensical thing.
I don't need a company to give me a chunk of steel with some plans. I can go on the internet, and I'm not skilled, but I guarantee I could make a gun. I used to make guns when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't hard.
How many criminals, people who committed crimes, were locked up, arrested, put in jail, still make guns in jail?
I know of none. I know they're out there probably,
Mm-hmm.
but it probably makes up 0.0000001 of ATF's criminal prosecutions. So why they're kowtowing to the administration on this?
Mm-hmm.
Remember we had the discussion last time, Hank, about the AR pistols?
Mm-hmm.
And they finally put it to rest. ATF backed down and said, yeah, this is kind of a moronic play after we approved like 7 million of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now Department of Justice under the Biden administration is going to revisit it.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that I definitely planned on getting to here. These things right here, I've got one of them right here in front of me. These scary things. This is from Magpul. It's the BTR arm brace. You know, cardboard. That's cardboard right there. Yeah,
Magpul's making a brace.
Yeah, Magpul's making a brace. I'm unboxing it right now to show you guys. Scariness coming out of plastic.
Whoa, hey, whoa, easy.
So there you go.
Is there a suffocation warning on that bag?
It's a lot like I don't know. There's probably a cancer warning on the box for sure. Let me see if the cancer warning is on the box somewhere.
So where's the Velcro? Where's the Velcro?
No, this is more like the blade ones if you look at it. So I got my hands on this from Barnauls. Barnauls sent this over, so these are coming out pretty soon. But so what's your take on this now, Vince? That they want to make these things subject to, what is it, NFA laws? I wrote down exactly.
NFA, yeah, the NFA. So everybody can pay $200 in occupational tax stamps.
Yeah.
To have them when they approved them. You know, we got enough laws on the books. Trust me.
Mm-hmm.
I could knock a gangster in the head with the laws. I mean, and I did. I put plenty of them in prison. We don't need more laws. Criminals don't follow laws.
Yeah. Did you? I was going to ask you. Did you ever see gangsters sitting down and going, "Wait a second, sir. I just want to explain to you. This is illegal. What we're about to do. This enterprise of sex slavery is illegal."
Dude, I would literally, to avoid the entrapment trick,
mm-hmm.
I would literally tell dudes like, this is some pretty heinous stuff, man. You've been locked up before, and if you give me this gun and you've done time, man, it can be a problem. Dude, chill, man. It's all good. It's all good. No, I have never had anybody go, oh, shit. Oh, there's a law against that? Well, you know what? We can't do this now.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Walt?
This is not pointed toward criminals. This has nothing to do with criminals.
It has something to do with criminalizing regular people.
Nothing to do with... Yeah, it's about taking your rights away. That's all it is.
By making the hardworking, law-abiding people in America into criminals.
Yeah, you're gonna make them felons.
Yeah, that's really what it's about.
You know how much it's going to impact violent crime across the country? Zero.
Goose egg.
When have any of the laws impacted violent crime?
Well, the Gun Control Act is useful too. The NFA laws are useful because what? Go ahead.
All of the and most of the Gun Control Act stuff is all archaic stuff at this point. Short barrel rifles and all that stuff is short barrel shotguns. Criminals don't do that stuff. They don't take 22 rifles and make them into pistols anymore. Back in the 50s, maybe they did, in the 40s.
Yeah, but even if they do, they don't care about the laws. They don't go, wait a second, if I put this on the gun instead of this, it's a short barrel. They don't care about what the laws are. So the only people that this kind of stuff affects is the people who follow the laws. I mean, that's the conversation that we're having here, right? This only affects the people who follow the laws. So the companies, for example, who invested time making this when the ATF said, yeah, this is not a problem, the people who have invested their money into this and bought these things and own these things, it turns them into felons. It's a piece of plastic, and I agree with Walter. I don't even think we should have the stupid the SBR laws at all.
Yeah, Why have an SBR law when you can get a Glock and put a 30-round mag in it? All that stuff is.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think I understand where you're coming from, Vince. But what I'm saying is, like, they allowed this, and then now what they're saying, and they said it was okay, and I think it is okay, and then they're like, well, now we've got to do something about that because that's the scary thing, and so they're going after it. It doesn't. It just doesn't make any sense. What's the point?
And now you have a director nominee. This guy is scary.
Yeah.
He's
way scary.
Yeah, that's one of the big things we wanted to have a conversation about here. If we can, I know there's people that want to have that specific conversation about it. I don't know if we're gonna do anything structured here, but so David Chipman. let's go to the David Chipman subject. You would know more about David Chipman than we do, Vince. You want to tell us why?
Yeah, he's a total shill.
Mm-hmm.
He was a bad agent. He was a mediocre manager. He was risk averse. He never did anything in his career to attempt to impact violent crime, like from gangsters, ne'er-do-wells, convicted felons shooting up the city and whatever. He kept a low profile, rose through the ranks. And the minute he could retire, he went and ran to the Gifford Foundation or whatever it's called. And historically, our directors, in theory, should have always been apolitical.
Mm-hmm. That's one of my biggest problems is what's going on here. How could you elect someone to a position like this, like the ATF, that is outright anti-gun? I mean, then you're saying that you're going to use the ATF to punish illegal gun owners.
Yeah, they're turning us into the whipping boys, and he's going to get agents killed, and he's going to destroy the agency because he's nothing but a shill. That's not what we do. That's not what we've historically done. Yes, we've made mistakes. Yes, we've made bad policy. But generally, normally, usually speaking, we go after bad guys with guns and leave the law-abiding citizens alone. That's my belief. That was my experience. And that's how it's always been. This guy is a ringer for the Biden administration, and he will do and say whatever they tell him to say.
That's why they're putting it forward. It's like let's get a bank robber. Let's get a bank robber to run the Fed.
He's never going to get out of committee.
Yeah. Go ahead, Walt.
Well, what okay, they're going after guns. Well, why isn't the director guy alcohol, tobacco, and firearms and explosives? By the way, well, tobacco. I think that kills more people than guns probably every year, and alcohol.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I forgot. Oh, they
Hey,
tax
hey,
that.
hey, hey, hey.
They tax that by the hundreds of
You're
millions of
treading in
dollars.
Vince's personal
Oh, well,
territory.
no, all I'm saying is,
Uh-huh.
what kills? I mean, come on, let's be
Everything
real.
kills us, man. Everything kills us.
What? Wait, back up. You got to remember something. They get hundreds of millions of dollars from every puff and every
For
drink
sure. But everything kills us. So this,
for
first of all,
taxes,
the
right?
whole idea of oh, we got to do something about this. Everything kills us. The air we breathe, the sunshine, the plants
I
around us,
personally,
the food we
I
eat.
personally don't. I don't care if tax as cigarettes are watched or alcohol's watched. That's all a waste of time too.
Hmm.
It's archaic. That's another archaic thing that we go at that we have to police.
Yeah, we've got too
Tobacco.
many laws. We've got too many laws, and too much stuff is
Oh,
illegal.
someone might make some illegal liquor. Oh dear.
Well, and
Um,
I think a lot of that
know.
is what's look, the big problem that we have before we get into Chipman, the big problem that we have in America that a lot of these politicians are ignoring is we have a mass. First of all, human beings can be violent in nature, right? Now, most people are not violent people unless you back them into a corner, but there are human beings out there. Some of them are horribly, badly broken, evil human beings that want to do destruction to everyone. Some of them are people who will do anything to make a dollar. When you make everything illegal, you are creating enterprises that these people can go into and make a lot of money. Guns is one of the ways, one of the things. You start putting all these kinds of rules and regulations on guns. As Vince was saying, most of these gangsters, most of these criminals are not going to a gun store that has an FFL to buy guns. You're creating a criminal enterprise. This is what happened with alcohol in the past. This is what happened with what's happened in America with marijuana. What's happened with a lot of other drugs. There's too many things that are illegal, and so therefore it creates a bunch of money that could be made around it. And then people who go, okay, we're going to get into this business, and to dominate the business, you have to be violent. Now, Vince, I know you know more about this than I do because this is what you spent your career going after, but is that like a wrong assessment on my part?
I wouldn't say a wrong assessment, but we're a nation of laws, and we have a fair amount, a
Hmm.
reasonable amount of gun laws on the books. We don't need more. The criminals aren't following the ones we already have.
Hmm.
So that's why we shit hammer them, send them to prison. To put more out there, they keep talking about this loophole. I've worked gun shows my whole career, and you know what? Like maybe one gangster will slide under the radar of 500 attendees and get a gun that he didn't have to have a background check on. But he ain't the guy doing a mass shooting or something. He's going and shooting up his homeboys or whatever they're doing. Um,
Right.
they keep talking about this loophole. There are background checks.
At gun,
Gangsters don't
but
apply.
yeah, and at gun shows, they're background checks. The idea that there's no background checks at gun shows is not
Exactly.
accurate. Like as an FFL, I'm an FFL at a gun show. I'm allowed to do business out of my home and at gun shows here in Florida, right? So if I go to a gun show, I got to background check people. Okay.
Again, 0.0001% of crime guns seized by ATF or traced come from gun shows.
Yeah.
They're straw purchasers, they're trafficking in firearms. If I could get elected today and had a gun to my head and said, make a law that could help impact violent crime, firearms trafficking. If you're, if you're a junior in college in Atlanta and you're no prohibition, and you go in and you buy 19 freaking AKs, and the next weekend you go back home to Chicago or Washington D.C. and carry those guns back there, this ain't rocket science.
Hmm. So let me ask you this though, because I don't want to get off that particular track that we're on here. Do you think that there's just enough laws in America, not enough laws, or too many laws?
I think we just need to enforce the laws we have.
Okay.
And maybe if we could tweak them, maybe go in and say, you know what? If you're a convicted felon of a violent crime, there's no doubt you've done hard time in the penitentiary, and you know you're not allowed to have a gun. 5 years is not enough. You know you got no business having guns. You did an armed robbery, you did a bank robbery, you did a rape, a kidnap, whatever. You don't get to have guns. Let's bang them with 10, 15, 20 years. But as far as the laws that exist, I think there's plenty of laws because the law-abiding citizens are following the laws.
I think there's too many. I'm in the position of I think we have too many.
Give me an example.
I'll give you an example. There's like 20,000 gun laws already on the books.
Okay, no, I'm not talking about every state, every federal jurisdiction. In general, what gun laws do you disagree with?
Every single one, personally. This is me personally.
No, you think felons, guys convicted of violent crimes, should be allowed to purchase firearms?
I don't think listen to me. I don't think people convicted of violent crimes like the ones that you were just discussing should even be on the streets.
Well, I agree, but they are. So the only thing we can do is make sure that.
Why are they? So let me just go down this logical path for a sec. Why are they on the streets? Why are these people who convicted heinous crimes against our other fellow citizens? Why are they on the streets?
They did their time.
No, they're on the street. No, they didn't do their time. They're on the streets because there's laws that say
they did their time, or they got paroled.
There's laws that say you got to let these people out.
Right.
There's too many damn laws. This is the way that I look at it. We should have look. I think we need simple laws. I don't know, like 10 Commandments is a good base for me, right? And inside of that, if you're gonna go against the rest of your fellow citizens, your people in society, you should pay a heavy price for that. Now, I'm not saying everyone should die for that. But people who commit these kind of heinous crimes should not see the streets in a year or 6 months or be let out because of COVID.
What happens when somebody does their time, legit? They get a severe sentence. They get 7 years or whatever for a attempted armed robbery, blah, blah, blah. And they've done their time or most of it and they get paroled. Should they be allowed to have guns again?
Okay, so I think you're asking the same question. Let me get this in, Walter. Appalachian Gun Runner says, if they are released from prison, why not? If they are that dangerous, why are they being released? So, Walter, what do you want to say to this before I answer that?
No. I mean, I kind of agree with what Vince is saying. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's this movement in this country now to bring out the rainbows and the unicorns and give all the felons their rights again. Mm-hmm. And that's so they can get those votes. Democrats can get those votes they want.
Yeah.
No.
So here's my thing. If you were made a felon because of a piece of plastic or some other silly thing like that, No, I'm just trying to say this.
We're in the what if mode now.
But let me say this. If you're made a felon over a stupid law, this is the point I'm trying to make. You should be able to have your rights. If you're a violent criminal, okay, why are you only in jail for 5 years? Why are you on the streets? That's not you paying your price to society. That's not you paying your price to society.
How much should a guy, a 20-year-old, goes in, tries to hold up a place, gets caught, done. He's 20 years old. He gives up. He surrenders. He goes, faces trial, gets 7 years in prison. How much should he do? Should he do the rest of his life in prison? Because he's a scumbag?
No, I mean, I think... Go ahead, Walt. Go ahead.
That's exactly where people come on with all this drug stuff. Mm-hmm. I got caught with one joint. Now I'm in prison for life. It's like... It's the same. That's the same.
I don't
thing,
think
right?
a joint. I don't even think a joint should put you in prison. But I think that if you commit a violent crime, I think if you commit a crime like that, go ahead, Walt.
Robbery is like, even armed robbery is not typically nobody gets killed in an armed robbery. The gun is there just as a pry bar, so to speak. So if the person does his time and he doesn't have any signals that he's going to continue, you can usually tell when somebody's. But should they be able to buy a gun? No. No.
We
So,
agree.
okay, so first of
No.
so let me just
Because they
let me
You have forfeited your right in our society to vote, to own a firearm, certain things, because we have standards, and everybody knew it. I knew it when I was a kid. I knew that, like, stealing, like, some apples from the neighbor's orchard or jacking them for a gallon of gasoline was not going to get me in prison. I would not suffer severe consequence. I knew if I put a gun in somebody's face that I was probably going to suffer something. May not have known what, but I was going to suffer.
Yeah. Here's what I think. Look, let's say we let that guy out after 7 years. He should. Here's what I think. He shouldn't be able. He should still keep paying a price until a certain time. But if after that time, let's say he gets out and he's still paying the price to society for for the rest of that time. After that time, if he proves that he is now rejoined the rest of us and being a good citizen, he has the right to defend himself, to be able to defend himself, unless he goes back and does something to say that says. So he doesn't have the right to defend himself?
He crossed that threshold that we in society have said, oh, you don't get to do that. You don't get to rape babies or kidnap your ex-wife.
But that's a caveat. That's a different thing from the setup that you said. I think if you do something like that, if you're a terrorist, hell no. You shouldn't even exist anymore as far as I'm concerned. You should never get out of the prison as far as I'm concerned. But if you're a kid, you grew up on the wrong side of the tracks, you did the wrong thing, you got desperate, you made some kind of, because it could be a lot of good kids go wrong and make a mistake. You make that mistake and then you pay your price for that and you prove to us that you're a good person. Why are you not worthy of defending yourself? If you're a habitually violent person, you shouldn't even exist with the rest of us.
Can I go off on a little tangent? Because it's been a bane of my existence. Back in the 80s when I came on with ATF, we had what they called relief from disabilities. So those cases that had extenuating circumstances, they could apply, even though they were a convicted felon. It's like, okay, I burglarized my neighbor's house for a pack of cigarettes or something, but I got a felony conviction. They could apply to ATF, and we would do an investigation and weigh the totality, and we would actually grant them what they called relief from disability. They discontinued that. They defunded us from being able to conduct those investigations in the late 80s, early 90s. So there is no mechanism, and this is what I'm agreeing with you. Be clear. I agree with you. There are those scenarios. A kid gets caught with an ounce of weed, but it's in a felony state, and he's 19, and he did his year and a half and came out, and he's been working and going to college and blah, blah, blah. And there is no mechanism now for them to seek a relief from disability. And that's where I blame ATF. We should have continued doing those, but they defunded. They took the money away that we were allotted to do those additional investigations. And most of them got denied. I mean, most of them were gangsters trying to get their gun rights back. But every now and then, you get that kid or that human being who screwed up 15 years ago and just wants to go hunting with his son now, and he can't get a gun.
Yeah. So I think we're kind of like on the same track with that. I do think that there's really bad people that we shouldn't have in society with us. And this is part of a lot of the violence that we're seeing in America that these guys are rolling out to do this, a lot of this violence is based on gangs, and none of this stuff is going to solve what's happening in Chicago, in New York City, in Miami, in LA, and even out in the country where there's gangs and stuff like that.
Ghost gun law might freaking slow down the Chicago violence and LA violence and New York, and I mean,
do you seriously? Are you being facetious right now? No, yeah, he's not. Yeah,
Not a
Vince,
bit.
yeah. Be careful, Vince. Everyone's gonna think you mean that. Yeah, yeah.
You gotta remember something here, guys. The
Mhm.
same people that want to take your guns away are the same people that are letting the criminals out,
Yeah, for sure.
and the same people that want to give the felons across the board, except for like murderers and rapists, all their rights back at your
Yeah.
expense. By the way, you're going to pay for their legal expenses.
Yeah,
You know?
Oh, and
So-
they want armed security around them constantly.
Oh, of course,
But they want,
of course.
yeah.
but
But
they
that's-
want
you know,
everyone
that's-
else unarmed.
But also,
That's why
if
you
they're
had
go ahead, Walt. Go ahead.
That's why you had to bring 20 or 30,000 National Guardsmen into D.C.
Yeah.
for the inauguration.
There's
And put
machine
up
guns.
and barbed wire fences, right?
Yeah. Machine
you know,
guns to defend the Capitol, but not to defend my house. So here's the thing. Let me get this because Armament and Axes gave us a couple of bucks here, so I'm gonna hit the applause from him. He says, what he wants to know what years was Vince active with the ATF?
1986 to 2014.
Okay, there you go. So good question there. And then LV Louis Cypher is bringing this up about FPS Russia, who Vince, you probably don't know him, but that's he was a big gun guy at one time in the YouTube world. He was FPS Russia. He had one of the biggest like YouTube channels. He was a kid from Georgia, and he would do he was good at doing a Russian accent. And he would do these crazy gun videos. There was someone he knew who had access to machine guns and all kinds of cool stuff. And he got really, really, really big, right? I mean, I think he had about 5 or 6 million subscribers. And
Wow. I want to be on his show.
you can't. Well, he does have a podcast now, but he lost his 2A rights over an ounce of marijuana, and that's what LV Cypher's saying. He lost his rights to guns in Georgia because of an ounce of marijuana, and they went after him and took this guy's 2A rights away in Georgia. Well, for the entire country, to be honest with you. What do you think about stuff like that?
Okay, I'm just speaking for myself. I'm not speaking on behalf of ATF or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
I was so busy dodging bullets from no shit gangsters, Crips, Bloods, Outlaws, Hells Angels, Ku Klux Klan. I really, really didn't have the time or the energy to worry about marijuana smokers or traffickers. I mean, I'm not talking about cartel traffickers, but local. I just didn't. It wasn't in our best interest. It wasn't in the agency's best interest to target guys like that. But I know it happens. I know it has happened.
Have you? So I know you smoke cigarettes and stuff like that. Smoke any weed?
Ever?
Yes. This is theoretical. I don't want to do anything, to endanger your rights.
Have you read my book?
Yes.
When you're undercover, I mean.
I was a train wreck.
So like here's one of the things, right? Still on the 4473, right? There's still
That's
this
changing.
Yes.
It's changing.
Well, I don't know if it's
going to change. They're going to change the form again to take
When?
that part off.
When did you see that?
I just read that a couple weeks ago.
No, that was
form-
during April Fools. That was
think
April Fools.
Congress is
Oh.
trying to get an amendment through
Right.
to legalize or decriminalize marijuana for the purposes of the Gun Control Act. But as we sit here talking right now,
Mhm.
if you're an
It's illegal.
illegal user of drugs, you're prohibited.
Yes.
That's the law.
let me do something real nerdy, Vince. I know that you know that your super cool guy jeans can't handle. But let me just do this. I'll make it quick. I promise. So
right.
there's a question on there. It says, "Are you an unlawful user of or addicted to marijuana or any depressant, stimulant, narcotic, drug, or any other controlled substances?" Right, and it goes on to say how the use or possession of marijuana
Right.
remains unlawful. So do you think that should be on there? Do you think that
Dude, I really don't want a bunch of stoners going around freaking buying guns. But if they change it, I'm good with that too. But
okay?
right now, it's the law.
Yep, I have to agree with
Just
you on that
get
point.
you
And if
one
you,
narcotic, it's the law.
Yeah. This is one thing about Vince. He sticks to his guns. I know that's
I,
like pun
I have
intended.
to agree.
But
I mean,
Vince, yeah,
if you know that it's not legal and you do it and you say it's once again, you can't until it changes. That's the way it is. So
right. But
no,
would
it
you
doesn't.
guys? But would you guys
The
change it?
problem,
Would you change it if you could change it? Would you change it? I know you're gonna say what the problem is with it. Would you change it, Vince? If you could,
probably.
you would change it. Okay. What about you, Walt? Would you remove that if you could?
With all these states doing what they're doing,
Now we're
probably
talking
so. Yeah.
just marijuana, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Not
Let's,
not heroin.
yes.
Not all
In
this
this
other
case,
stuff. No.
yeah.
No. No. No.
Right.
You start this process where all of a sudden there's no rules
Right.
and you think, oh well, that's okay. You can do whatever you want. Well,
Yeah.
I don't want to pay for you being so effed up that you can't work or you can't
Yeah.
do this. Or you
Listen,
can't do that.
I've never like smoked a joint or anything like that. I'm a
That doesn't-
complete
well,
nerd when it comes to that. I can't even handle what Vince is drinking right now in one glass would knock me
Did
out.
you just say you've never
Never,
smoked a
never
joint?
have, never have,
So-
never have.
He didn't-
And I'm almost 50 years old.
All
Now,
right, I gotta tell you a story. Can I
yeah,
cut
sure.
off with-
Yes.
No, I won't say her name because she didn't consent to being on here. But when I was at the police department in Athens, Georgia, we had to take a polygraph and do all the background, blah, blah, blah. So I'm talking to one of the polygraph operators, and he's like, craziest thing that ever happened. This chick who wanted to be an Athens police officer came in and we went through, have you ever stolen from an employer? Have you ever done it? Have you ever smoked a joint or illegally like consumed marijuana, however they said it or something? She said no. And he shut off the polygraph and he said, look, so-and-so, it's not a big deal. It was the 60s and 70s. It's best if you admit to it and then we'll move past it as long as you weren't a chronic user or something. And she said, no, I never used it. He goes, turns off the polygraph again. He goes, you don't understand. You can be disqualified from getting this job if you're not honest and everything. And as it turned out, this girl was from a rural area in Georgia. She just had never smoked marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
She just never had. And they went round and round and finally realized that their little machine was wrong and she was being honest and she got hired. But it was like the first person I'd ever met in my generation that had never smoked a joint. You're the second one.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I never have. But here's the thing. I mean, I'm from the Caribbean. Like the first thing I remember smelling was my dad smoking weed and stuff like that. So I grew up with my dad drinking, smoking, womanizing, doing all the stuff, man. I think my dad did all the drugs probably.
You could have been my son.
Highly likely. But I think what that does is that kind of makes you like, just because I grew up like that, it was never something that was
and push you
interesting to
away
me.
from it.
A big
Yeah,
deal. Right?
yeah. My friends did all that stuff. I'm not judging anyone for that. That's not what I believe in. I just never did it. I just, you don't have to do everything that exists in the world, So, let me get this in real quick because this
Can I
is.
get a drink?
Yes, you can get a drink.
I'll be right back.
Yeah. Okay. So this is going to be about you. I was going to talk about you here.
Oh, well,
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, you can. Okay, so you can hear us anyway. All right, so let me add this. So we got another super chat here from Real Cujo. Thank you, Real Cujo. Gave us $10. We appreciate that. He says Vince's book is amazing. I live in Jessup and spent a lot of time in Brunswick. Also had friends who worked at Flexi. So there you go. That's from Real Cujo. And then Walter, someone, let's see, who is it? The Juice is laughing at you. He says, laugh out loud, Walter got rickrolled. That's that was I know I posted it, but that was a April Fool's. From,
oh, okay. I thought it was serious because
yeah.
I'm surprised they haven't taken it off. But once again, like Vince is saying, and I don't necessarily agree with all of it. If it's illegal and you know it's illegal, it's illegal until it changes. Whether you like it or you don't like it, it is. So
no, I understand. I understand that part of it. What I was going to talk about there is, it's kind of crazy. Look at the stuff that we're going on. For example, they use what's on that 4473 against people whenever they feel like it, and then other people get protected from it. For example, Hunter Biden, right? He violated this 4473 in all kinds of ways. He's still walking around out there smoking crack every 15 minutes. Nobody did anything about that.
Vice president's son, dude.
That should be even more. If he's the vice president's son, we should publicly flog him and then lock him up.
Dude, in between you and me, he absolutely should have been charged. When I saw that story break, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. If my kid was like just an average kid, got caught up in the drug scene, became an addict or something, and ATF spent $20,000 going after him and prosecuting him, I'd be like, really?
Yeah. And the best thing that Joe Biden could do, sometimes the best thing you could do for your kids is let them suffer. I know that. Look, as a dad, I've worked hard. Lola's worked hard. To do things, and we've spoiled our kids a little bit compared to how we grew up. But sometimes they got to suffer. Yeah. And you got to make them suffer for them to do.
One word, Democrat.
Well,
I think it's worse than that. Walter.
The laws have to apply to everybody.
Otherwise, they shouldn't apply to anyone.
Agreed.
This
no
is
argument there. I'm just telling you, it's Democrat.
It's not just Democrats. It's that these people. It's not even that they're liberal. It's that they're insane. These people should not be leading us. If I was the president or the vice president and my kid gets into this kind of trouble, he needs to suffer. This Hunter Biden, this guy has one kid left. He's not going to save this kid by doing this kind of stuff. Sometimes your kids have to suffer.
And under the current sentencing guidelines, if they charged him and showed some integrity, and I'm talking about ATF, make no mistake, not the Secret Service.
No integrity.
Not the Secret Service, not anybody. When that information became public and ATF could confirm that he lied on a 4473, he should have been charged with lying about it. That's simple. His guidelines, he would have got 6 months probation or whatever, but it would have set the tone.
Look, they put Kodak Black in prison for years for that. Now, I'm not trying to defend Kodak Black. I think that he's batshit crazy, and I don't even think that Trump should have pardoned him. But they went after Lil Wayne for similar kinds of things, and Lil Wayne wasn't a bad person out there trying to hurt anyone. He's just trying to defend himself, and this is ultimately at the end of the day, those are still famous, wealthy people. Right? But there's a difference between money and power. Right? And so these guys have a lot of power, and that's what's kept Hunter Biden out of prison, but it's not, there is in the overall universe, I believe in karma, and there's ultimate justice, and it doesn't matter how much money, how much power or whatever you have, you can't escape that. And sometimes your kids have to learn hard lessons. Let me say this, because I totally forgot. Not only is this episode 750, today is also 420, by the way. Everyone's reminding us right now.
How did I know that was coming?
We're having this conversation. Walter's looking around like 420. What does it mean?
I know what it is, dummy.
Mr. Lovell says 420 is a holiday. I thought that's why we're here. That's why that's why we're having the marijuana discussion.
Dude, you got some good weed, dude? Come on, that's just so sweet.
Yeah. So it's I don't know, man. I think it should definitely be something that's stricken and taken off the books. And I have a tough time with these guys pushing stuff on us that doesn't really apply to them. It's the same problem we have with healthcare, same problem we have with taxes, same problem we have with gun laws. Guys who have people surrounding them with machine guns, okay, and also impunity. Also impunity. What happened at the Capitol? That Capitol police officer that shot the Air Force.
That woman.
Yeah, there's gonna be no charges filed against that guy.
And what happened today in the courtroom?
Well, today, what's his name?
Somebody got convicted of murder, right?
Yes.
A
police officer.
That's questionable. That person at the Capitol shot that woman point blank.
I think
that was murder.
Yeah, I think these are two separate things. I think these are two separate things. I'm with you on the Capitol. That's straight up. The Capitol is straight up murder, and he's not going to get any charges. And that's because those guys want to be protected, and they're happy with citizens being murdered trying to come onto their own property. I think in the case of Chauvin, I've said this already. I don't feel any emotional attachment to this thing. I feel that the verdict is probably the right verdict, but the pressure that was put on from the outside is forever gonna leave this, have people on different sides being in doubt. But when you looked at what happened with Chauvin, there was something that went wrong there, right? And the jury, the process, we've gone through the process here, right? He had his day in court. He got convicted. He could appeal it. All these things could happen. Lots of stuff could happen here, and maybe even the pressure that politicians are putting on this by trying to, Maxine Waters was trying to push people to go out there and protest more and get more violent and all that kind of stuff.
Riot.
I think they should have stayed out of this and then let this come to whatever it is, and then this is what we call justice, right?
Hey, the jury spoke.
Yeah.
The jury spoke. That's all I have to say about it. Mm-hmm. It's our system. They heard. I didn't hear all the evidence. I heard what the news gave me. Mm-hmm. I saw the video, but I didn't hear the medical examiner's reports and everything. They heard it and they convicted him across the board. That's how we roll in this country.
Yeah. I know. Listen, Walter, I know you don't necessarily agree with it, and I think that's fine. I'm not mad at you or anything about that because it doesn't it doesn't matter to me one way. It doesn't matter to me one way or the other. Like, we have a system of justice in America, and we can't take the police officer and string him up because we think he's guilty. And at the same time, it's quite possible that this police officer went too far in trying to subdue this person and wind up causing his life. So this is how it goes.
Okie dokie.
This is how it goes. That doesn't mean that I agree with what's happening in America with people trying to defund the police. I think that's going to be one of the worst things that spreads across America. The worst virus, worse than COVID-19.
Luckily, our governor is smart enough in Florida, and they just did legislation to prevent all that defunding garbage in this state. So, and also, if you're out, minding your own business, and they try to stop you in your car, you can run the fuckers over. So, have a nice day, rioters. Come on.
So let me get this. Let me get this out there. So Boss Hog gave us $5. We got to applaud for him. Yay. Okay. He says. Boss Hog said meth heads definitely don't need a gun.
Nope, they don't.
I had one try to fight for no reason. That's from Boss Hog.
No, they don't. And that's.
Well, yeah. Every drug is not the same. So. And I don't think marijuana should be
affected by the drugs the same way.
Sure, everyone's not affected by anything the same way.
There are people.
Regardless of what you think or I think, and I've already stated, I think the marijuana thing has gone on too long. until it changes, it's a law. And
Yeah.
I'm like kind of a law and order guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I right now I'm slamming Jack Daniels. Guess what I'm not gonna do? I'm not gonna get in my car and drive down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
It's
Because
illegal.
when they say it's okay to go drunk driving and act a fool, I'm gonna go out and ride my car around drunk and act a fool and cut donuts and do all kind of shit. But until then,
Yeah.
it's illegal, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, and also, I just gotta say, Vince, you don't want headline to read ATF agent drunk driving arrested.
No, I do not.
You don't want that, or retired ATF agent. I don't know. I don't know if you want to be associated with the ATF so much.
Let me ask Vince.
Dude, I am fine with being associated with the ATF as long as my First Amendment never goes away. Because I have been one of the biggest critics and I've been one of the biggest supporters, depending on where you look in my career. We've done enough to welcome public criticism, and we've lacked leadership for a bunch of years. And God willing, Dave Chipman will not be confirmed as our director.
Yeah, Walt, go ahead and ask your question. Sorry.
Back, Vince, when you started with ATF, I mean, if there were agents that were doing things that were, let's say, immoral, did they get rid of them, or did they just put them in some rural office someplace where nobody could see them?
Do you
You
mean
know what?
immoral, like they got caught in they got caught in glory hole situations?
Glory
kind of
holes
immoral?
and stuff like that, yes. It's happened twice in recent times, and those people have not been thrown out. They're still in the
Walter,
business.
I love you so much for bringing this up.
Well, it's like with the FBI, for example, the FBI. Growing up, the FBI agent, the exemplary example of law enforcement person.
That's true. Yeah.
Right.
Well trained, not influenced by this or by that, but he's doing the law thing. Now not so much, and people lose confidence in these agencies. And so FBI, okay, yeah, great. There are guys, I'm sure they're doing what they're supposed to do, but there's other ones that are politically motivated, and that's bad. So,
yeah.
Historically, and I'm just speaking from my experience, that doesn't make it gospel. Historically, when a boss or someone of influence screwed the pooch, they were put out to pasture. They might not have been fired. There might not have been appropriate consequences. But once they became well known as a train wreck, they were put out to somewhere where they couldn't do any harm. If that answers your question.
kind of. It kind of sounds like the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Well, exactly.
No.
Hey, I'm not defending that process because in my lawsuit and in my complaints, there were guys that were identified as having perjured themselves in U.S. District Court under oath, and the judge on my case, when we settled, called me back and said, "Dude, I take no pride in saying this, but these guys are never going to be held accountable. So it's best you just take your settlement because it's the way of the government." And that broke my heart. Having been 30 years in the government, I was like, a U.S. magistrate judge is literally telling me that they have been proven to have violated the law and they're going to be put out to pasture or sent somewhere where they can't impact anybody or anything. I said, "Really?" She's like, "Yeah."
Yeah. Well, then it comes back to what I said. If the law doesn't apply to the law keepers or whatever or law enforcement or whatever you want to put it, then should it really even exist? If it doesn't apply to them, if you break the law, if you do wrong things, and then you just get put out to pasture and you still get you still get promotions technically, you still get paid and all that kind of stuff. Is it any good?
Dude,
And
it's not a perfect world. It's not a perfect
it's
world.
not. No, it's not. And I don't want you to not comment on the glory hole situation, Vince.
Kathy Music Lover was asking, what's the glory hole?
Now you pissed me off. Okay, let me tell you something about the glory hole. The brother of the glory hole dude was the adjudicating official on my internal complaints and ruled against me at every turn. And I'm like, really, dude? Your brother is like going down to New Orleans and sticking his dick through a hole?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But again, it's a real world, and we can only fight the fights we can fight.
And no one's perfect. The people aren't perfect. What is it? Like the Judge Dredd movie guy said, "I'm the law. The law is not perfect." Nothing's perfect here. So that's all you got to say on the glory hole situation.
Maybe it'll get a splinter.
I keep forgetting to ask you whenever you come on, so I'm glad Walter brought it up now.
That really pissed me off, though,
Yeah,
when
it
that
sucks.
story hit. And I'm like, really, let me get this straight. You're sitting in judgment of me.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
No,
you just can't fan. You can't fathom it. It's one of those things you just go like, I can't believe what I'm seeing or hearing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
I was like, you have got to be kidding me. And guess what? He got promoted.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Someone else must like that glory hole.
Yeah.
Bill Newell, after Fast and Furious, went and he got demoted to a GS-13. Guess what? He had 2 years salary retention as a GS-15.
Mm-hmm.
So he went to a do-nothing job, made the same money he was making as a boss when he stood before Congress and said, we weren't walking guns. Yeah, you kind of were.
No, those guys should be in jail. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
And
Those guys should have been.
part.
They should be a thing called like.
Yeah, part of what I wanted to talk about is in Biden's plan, which we're going to go over this here in the final hour, but part of like Biden's plan says the Justice Department will issue an annual report on firearms trafficking. Is that going to include what's going on with guns being allowed to go across the border and all that? Are we actually going to track someone down and make someone pay the price for that?
Dude, I'm going to give you an anecdotal story real quick.
Okay.
I'm outside in Atlanta smoking a cigarette one day. The special agent in charge, the big boss of all of Atlanta, Georgia, and whatever, comes down. We're smoking a cigarette together. He said, yeah, I'm out of here. I'm going to headquarters. I said, what do they got you coming up to headquarters for? We got to redo the firearms enforcement program. Like the rules within ATF, how we enforce the firearms laws.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, shit, you're going to be gone a while. He goes, no, I'll be up there 2 days. I was like, how are you going to rewrite the firearms enforcement problem? He said, Vince, you don't understand the big picture. We're going to go up there. They're going to tell us what our findings are. We're going to certify them or we're going to bless them. And then I'll be back in 2 days. It's not a big deal. And I went, are you shitting me?
Yeah, that's the problem we have. That's the friggin' problem that we have.
That's what scares me about Chipman.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're going to have special agents in charge, assistant special agent in charge, deputy assistant directors, assistant directors, looking to him going, so what's our mission? What should we do? And he's going to be cramming all this shit. We want enforcement programs on ghost guns. We want AR pistols. We want to go after this. We want to go after that. And they're going to say, okay, that's what the boss says. No, it's not quite that easy. Congress makes laws, not ATF.
Thank you.
Walt,
And
take
that's
off.
what people have to understand.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Walt. Go ahead.
Take off.
No, I was going to say take off your
checked-
Wi-Fi.
I'm taking everything off, my friend.
Okay,
And it
all
ain't
right,
making
cool.
no,
All right,
it ain't,
yeah,
it ain't making no effing
your
difference.
signal's a little degraded. Go ahead, say what you got to say. We can hear you.
That's the problem with this country in general is these regulatory agencies now think that they make laws, and they're not the people who make laws.
They're not
You
de
know,
facto. They're not to be used for de facto laws. I think what
they're
Vince is trying
not
to say, Congress has to face the people on it, and if they make laws we're not
the
happy with, then yes, they will get voted out of
the
office.
night the 1968 Gun Control Act cannot be okay. Obviously, they've changed, they've added stuff to it and did all stuff, but technically they can't change that. That's a law that has to be done through Congress and all that stuff. But they've given these regulatory agencies, all including the EPA and the Department of Energy and all these, the Forestry Service and all these other goofball agencies, all these they can do and they can basically do whatever the hell they want.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we're the ones that suffer with that crap. You know, when you go,
stay out of the legislating business. We're handed a
collect
group
taxes.
of laws, just like DEA, just like FBI, just like the U.S. Marshals. Here's the laws. They're pretty clear cut. You can't do this or you can do that. You can't manufacture firearms without a license. This are the laws. Nothing more, nothing less. Then ATF starts getting in there out of political expediency and goes, "Oh, I'm Dave Chipman. Oh, Mr. Biden, you want um, pistols with high capacity magazines abolished? We'll make a ruling." No, you can't make a ruling. It's a law.
Yeah, that's not how it works.
But the problem is, though, our lawmakers, these congressmen and senators, don't have enough nuts to stand up and say, "Hey, that's not your job. That's my job," because they don't want that. They don't want that job.
When they're doing the wrong thing, we're supposed to do something about them. Let me just say that. Now, listen, I want to do a couple things. First of all, let me ask everyone out there to smash the thumbs ups. We have a lot of people listening, watching, hanging out with us. Yeah, smash the thumbs ups. Check out Vince's book. It's in the back there behind him, Rat Snakes. I'm sure he's going to throw it up here right now. Boom. Let's show that up there. Go ahead, Vince. We'll use that as the thumbnail. Rat Snakes, please buy the book. Support Vince. He needs money to buy cigarettes and what is it?
Jack Daniels.
Yeah, cigarettes and alcohol. Yes.
I need money to buy alcohol, tobacco, and firearms.
Amen. So that's
all mine got lost in a boating accident.
Yeah, that's the only thing I agree with. Now we've got some questions we're gonna ask Vince coming up here. Okay, I've got rapid stuff that we're gonna hit on. Let me. Boss Hog, who always watches the show, says today is his mom's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy
Boss
birthday.
Hog. Yes, happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, Boss Hog Mom.
Yes, I saw a picture of her somewhere. Awesome, congratulations.
In order to get my Wi-Fi going better, I had to shut my PC off, so I can't see the chat. So you guys can say whatever you want about me.
Oh well.
We have
Yeah, we're not gonna. We're not gonna say bad things about you, Walter. Why would we do that?
I got thick skin. I don't care.
Yeah. John's. Go ahead.
Vince. I turned the news off after the election. I haven't watched the news since the election, so I don't care what they say about me.
Yeah. Now let me get another. There's another super chat here. I'll get that up. Let's hit the applause on that. John Ski says, Vince, what's your opinion of Chipman for head of ATF? If you have one, also him posing at Waco in among the burnt remains of women and children.
Okay. Dave Chipman is a shill. He's a train wreck. He has no business. He didn't have any business being an ATF agent. He has no business being an ATF director. He's a poser and a politician, and I don't think he'll make it out of committee.
Okay, there you go. That's pretty succinct on that. From Vince on that.
Somebody who knows him.
Yeah, from someone who knows him. Did you guys ever actually work together? You said, was he your supervisor at some point?
We didn't work together. I just knew him, and I didn't like him then, and I don't like him now.
Okay.
Apolitical. Anybody that doesn't walk in front of that Senate subcommittee and says, I'm here to enforce the laws, nothing more, nothing less. Well, What is your opinion on the Biden's administration? I have no opinion. The laws are the laws. I'm not going to increase enforcement. I'm not going to decrease enforcement.
Mhm.
We are here to do a job, and we're going to do it. Anybody less than that needs to go.
Yeah. Now
I
can't.
agree.
I can't be president because I wasn't born here unless we have the Schwarzenegger rule or whatever goes into effect. But if I could be president, actually I would abolish the ATF, Vince. I gotta say that. I know you don't like that, but I would abolish them. But if I couldn't abolish them, I would make you the head of the ATF.
Who would you have enforce the federal firearms laws, or you'd abolish the federal firearms laws?
Yeah, I'm tired of all that crap. It doesn't make any difference.
A lot
It
of
doesn't do anything.
a lot of it. Yeah, a lot of it.
Yeah, yeah. But if I couldn't, Vince, you'd be the man to run that.
No. So if you're a 3-time violent convicted felon,
Mhm.
and you still choose to go out and get your hands on a gun and commit a crime,
I promise you we'll stop it. You know how we'll stop it?
you should not be subjected to life in prison.
No, Shredder.
No, three
Shredder.
times violent. You should have been hung already.
Shredder.
You should have been hung on the second one.
I believe in shredders.
So we're going to kill you?
Yeah,
We're
put
not
them
going
in.
to give you due process. We're not going to
No,
prosecute.
we'll give
Oh,
you.
we'll give you due process.
Yeah, we'll give you due process. Absolutely, we'll duly process you right through that chipping machine.
Because after 2 times,
Yeah,
No,
listen.
especially
I
violent
believe
stuff.
I'm not gonna pull. I'm not gonna
All right,
pull. I'm not
you
pulling a
just
Trump.
lost. You
I'm-
just lost me.
I am not pulling a Trump here. I would give the dude due process. But how many times are we gonna let you violate
how many
society?
times? How many times?
But you have to have a law. You have to have somebody to enforce that law. So you did away with ATF. So now who's going to go out and get that armed career criminal?
Hang on,
The-
Vince. Before
Yeah,
technically before we had ATF, that was all taken care
Listen,
of. by
I think when the people have machine
FBI.
guns, the bad guys are gonna get shredded anyway. That's my opinion. If the people can have machine guns, the bad guys are getting shredded.
You abolish the ATF and you have the quote armed career criminal, 3 violent prior felonies, who now has a gun, and I can put him away.
You know
for life.
what I think? I think the worst thing that happens in societies, if you go back to like ancient Japanese society anywhere, every time they make it where only special people can have the swords or the bows and arrows or crossbows or whatever it is, we get this kind of nonsense
Special
going on.
people, just not fucking felons.
Well, the thing is if you what is a felon? Someone basically a felon is someone violating society. So if you're trying to violate society and dudes can pull out their machine guns and shred you up, I think we're not going to have that much. And if we do have it, with this, listen, I believe in cops. I do believe in cops. I believe in law enforcement. But I don't think the fact that the ATF is being the ATF is being used against us. The ATF is being used against us in a bad way, and it's just a tool. This is what it's turned into. Look. Here's one of my questions.
It hasn't, though. It hasn't. 99. Okay, I'll go with 90. 90% of the ATF cases made out there are good, valid cases. I'm not talking about against the citizens with the ghost guns and shit. I'm talking about the dudes who are meeting gangsters, no shit, bad guys out there and buying guns or selling guns or trading dope for guns or doing whatever. Those dudes need to go away. When you do away with ATF, who's going to do that?
We have FBI, DEA.
Oh, so you want the FBI?
No. What?
You want Big Brother?
No, what I'm saying is we have too many law enforcement agencies. There's
hang
freaking
on.
there's freaking guys that work for the post office walking around with machine guns
But
and stuff like that.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing to have it spread out, and we don't have a national police force. Let me just say 3 things. KGB. We don't need like one god of gun rights or anything. We have an agency that now can be monitored, monetized, We can take away or give them more budget.
We don't. Yeah, we don't need gods of
oversee.
anything. We don't need gods. Listen, you know what, Vince? Honestly, a straight up answer to this is if the ATF had guys like you in it, running it, I wouldn't
That'd be
really
one thing.
I wouldn't
They
really have a
do
problem.
guys like me, though. That's my point.
But the
Not-
guys like you don't
not
have
running it,
the
though.
guys like you don't have the power. I think this is the story of what happened to you.
I-
A good guy like
I-
you got pushed out of that agency, and basically they had you working for like what 2 years from home, not doing anything, not doing the right thing out there.
At the end of the day, that which I was doing,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm being self-serving here,
Mm-hmm.
was advancing the cause of ATF because I was calling them out on their bullshit. If you don't have an ATF and nobody is overseeing, just give your guns away now. Because at least ATF was small enough that when Fast and Furious happened, for an example, or Waco or whatever, somebody was like, whoa, what do you guys think you're doing there? When it gets thrown into the abyss of bureaucracy,
I think when no one really suffers for that, that's when the people lose faith
Right.
in it. And
I agree.
think
I agree. But
No one
there
has suffered.
was, I won't say accountability, there was exposure. And
who paid the price? There's no one that paid the
Again,
price
not a
except the
perfect
people, and except we had Americans, we had guys who in law enforcement, right, that paid the price for it. We had Americans pay the price, and we had tens of thousands of people, and we still have tens of thousands of people in Mexico paying the price for us allowing those guns to go over there.
it's not a perfect world. But you're right. But by transparency, or at least attempting to hold this small agency accountable, everybody saw that every day. They saw Grassley and them holding up the redacted bullshit and raking them over the coals. Was it good enough? No. They didn't suffer. They didn't suffer any consequences. But it put the brakes on. And ATF went, whoa, shit.
That we know of. I mean,
Eric-
I hate to say that.
Obama was still there. Eric Holder was
Yeah.
still there.
Eric Holder shouldn't even be.
Marvin Richardson, that I met with in ATF, the Synth director, he was there then. He's a useless piece.
Marvin Richardson should be in jail.
Yeah. Listen, let me.
Jay Dobbins, he should be in jail. Again, not a perfect world.
Let me do this. Let me do this because we got a limited amount of time here. So Armory and Axis gave us some money. Thank you, Armory and Axis. There goes the cheers for that. He says, too many laws equals more and more less freedom.
And more bureaucrats and more bureaucrats
agree.
and more bureaucrats.
Yeah.
That's why we don't need more laws. We just need to enforce the ones we have.
So let me hit you with some stuff from my notes. Let me do this. We're gonna have Vincent on again, and I know we're like, whenever we have fun like this, time goes real fast. And
You're gonna
having
beat
fun.
them, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're gonna beat them.
No, Vince. First of all, Vince, I really like you, man. I really do. Honestly, I really like you. You wouldn't be here otherwise, man.
What's
So,
not to like?
yeah, exactly. I totally agree with you, man. I'm
There
all
you
about rogues, okay? I'm a nerd, but I'm all about rogues, man. I come from pirate blood, so you're my kind of dude, you know what I'm saying? So, look, I got the right here on my wrist. Let me see if I can show this. I got the skulls to prove it right there. Okay, so listen. Here's something from the ATF, right? That's leaking out some news. If ATF seizes ammo from you for whatever reason, right? And then you prove that you should have rightly had that ammo, they destroy it anyway. When they seize it, they destroy it. Here's their policy. They will only refund you 10 cents per round, regardless of what ammo it was. That's
Where the fuck did you get that?
Oh, that's
Can
coming
I
out.
say that?
Yes,
Can I
you can.
say that?
You can. I have sources.
Dude.
This is legit.
Dude, first of all, we either seize or we retain property. If we have an investigation ongoing,
Yeah.
no, dude.
Quote unquote.
I'm just telling you.
Mm-hmm.
If we go in there and there's some question whether you're prohibited, but we can't find the records or whatever the scenario,
Mm-hmm.
we retain the property. Then we find out, okay, he's a lawful citizen. He's never been convicted. We had a false hit on a NCIC or something. We give him his shit back. If we seize it, then your only mechanism is to file in court and try to get your shit back. But if we seize it for a criminal violation.
Okay, this will be coming out. This is not, I don't know if it's news yet. It may be. I think the story might already be out there. Okay, so May 31st, Regina Lombardo, that's her resignation date. I don't know if you're aware of that. That's the acting. Yeah, that's
I
the
love
acting.
Regina. I like Regina a lot.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Huh. Okay.
She was a really good agent. She was a really shitty director.
Okay. All right. That, you know what? That's fair, man. This is the reason why I like you. Let me ask you this: would you like, knowing what you know about the ATF today and the direction that it's going, right? If we could wave a wand, make you a younger, Vince Cefalu, would you go back and work for the ATF again?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. So that's interesting.
Dude, I never once put a law-abiding citizen in prison. Never once. In fact, I went above and beyond, got my ass kicked by bosses who were like, well, we have a technical violation here, and, they might have or might not. No, I'm not getting a search warrant or I'm not arresting anybody. This is bullshit. It was a 20-year-old thing. We got bad guys on the street. So
Yeah.
no, I would go to work for ATF because most, and I'm saying the vast majority of the agents I work with and the bosses are honorable men and women. They just were.
Okay, so a couple of things here. Armament and Axis says, looking at Hank's hat, it says go left or right. It's actually an H. That's a High Point hat right there.
High Point, that's High Point.
Yeah. And in honor of Barnauls, that's sponsoring the podcast here, there's an affiliation with High Point. You guys will have to look into that. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about that, but I think people know that.
I just saw an advertisement where they got the two together. It's
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing hidden.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then let's see. Night Train says, I have seen the ATF up close and personal action. Little minds with little power. That's from Night Train. But here's the thing. Before Vince reacts to that, Walter, one of the things we should not miss out on here is you should tell Vince your story with the ATF. And by the way, tell Vince what you do, like what you guys make over at Safety Harbor Firearms.
Okay. I since 2003, I've made a bolt action upper conversion for an AR-15 lower. Bolt action.
Okay.
With your hand. Okay. Never had any issues. I never even sent one in to get a determination in the beginning because it's a bolt action upper, right? Okay. Well, in 2018, now let me preface this a little bit. Some of these uppers, not because of anything I did, have ended up in Mexico and have ended up in Brazil and been used in bank robberies in Brazil. Everybody's guns end up at different places. That's not my fault.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's that trafficker. That's the trafficker thing you were talking about.
Yeah.
So
No,
I get
no. I don't believe that's true. I mean, if I was making guns here, like just nice handguns or high-end uppers, like you said, bolt action and everything, generally, normally, usually you expect to sell to like hunters and American citizens, but every now and then they go across the border.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
the way it is.
Yeah.
Everybody's stuff does. So in 2018, we get a letter. It says, I can't remember exactly if they said determined. Your gun has characteristics similar to this, that, and the other. You might want to get a determination. Well, I interpreted that letter as saying, you better do this or we're going to come down and knock on your door and close you down. So we faddled around with it. I hired some attorneys that are familiar with dealing with ATF that knew Marvin Richardson and knew these are people that are known in the business. We ended up making an appointment. I went to the belly of the beast in DC. I got to see the Waco model. I got to see the Waco model in the hallway and the whole 9 yards and all
Shameful.
that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I kept my mouth shut. I was good.
Good.
We met with us, my two lawyers and me, and a whole table full of ATF people across from me, from the tech branch, Marvin Richardson, their lawyer people, some other ones I can't remember all their names. We had discussions. We talked. There were smiles. Marvin Richardson said, well, we want to have good relations with the manufacturer, with the industry, and he was smiling and he's all happy. And I went away thinking, well, maybe something will come of it.
Marvin Richardson is a tool.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, so go ahead, Walt. So what happened when you got your letter?
I submitted a sample. Went to the tech branch. That was during one of the times when we had the government shutdowns at the end of the year. Remember all that funness? Mm-hmm. So my determination took about 5 or 6 months, and in the meantime, I'm not making those parts, and I'm about 3/4 of my income went away. Finally, the letter comes back. Your upper is considered. It has the same characteristics as a bolt-action rifle. Therefore, it needs to be serial numbered. That's pretty much it. So, and there was some things in the determination letter that probably could have been fought in court.
I'm just curious. Where's the problem with that?
I think so. Now, so this means that Walter's making a upper that goes on an AR-15 lower. Obviously,
the serial number lower.
Yeah, the serial number is lowered. So if someone already has a lower, they could put it on there. If they buy a lower from Walter, it would be serialized. Now they're saying that the upper also has to be serialized. So now you literally have 2 different serial numbers if you have these guns, and that's just because it's bolt action on the upper part of it.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Yeah, since they said
policy makes bad case law. We've done this. That's what ATF does. We can't get out of our own way sometimes.
Mm-hmm. And so they went after particularly the 50 caliber people doing this, right? Because from what I understand, there's still people doing other smaller calibers, and they weren't required to do this. Now, I thought the law, or whatever they call it, the law is supposed to apply to everyone equally, right?
Yeah.
That's what the law says. Now, I probably could have fought this in federal court, and I don't know if I would have won anything. It probably would have cost $100,000 plus.
Yeah, but who's got the money to do that?
Right, and I didn't go any further with it. I just
and someone as LV Louis Cipher is saying here, it's not even usable without the lower.
Now,
we shoot ourselves in the foot. ATF has historically used their regulatory authority to make bad case law.
Yeah. I think that should have been fought, Walter, because now look at what they're trying to do. They're trying to serialize everything now. They're going to try to serialize barrels, triggers, uppers, lowers, your pistol grip, stocks.
There's been talk of reclassifying the AR-15 where the upper is the serial number part and the lower not.
Well, because technically the lower shouldn't be the serialized part either.
The only reason it was serial number because back in the day when Colt submitted it or Armalite submitted it, it was the easy place to put the number.
We're dealing with superstition. When you have an agency treating everything like superstition, this is what happens. They're not dealing with facts or the law or anything like that.
They're not dealing with their own facts.
I gotta interject here.
Mm-hmm.
When we make bad policy like that, it generally gets reversed in the courts. I'm not saying that's okay, but I'm saying when we get stupid, and we have, it gets reversed and it never gets
I don't know if we can rely on that anymore. I think this
Yeah,
goes
I
back
don't.
to I think the times that we were all born in, when
Yeah,
there
it was
was
different.
when there was more honor and all that kind of stuff, and we could depend on the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is refusing to take up
Even
cases related to the
even
corruption in the last election. They're refusing to take
even
up those cases.
even the circuit courts. The circuit courts are all political now.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah,
got the
they are.
Ninth Circuit. I mean, so you can't rely on getting a fair judgment in any of these courts because they were appointed by Bill Clinton. Okay, so they're a leftist. This one was appointed by Bush. Well, never with Bush. Half of Bush's people are leftists too. So it's like, am I going to spend $200,000 in court just to get told, "Too bad, so sad. Have a nice day"? It's like, no, fuck
I
it.
don't know even where you would get the 200 grand as a small manufacturer to fight the ATF, which is dealing with government money
No,
basically put you out of business.
But there's the NRA, the NSSF.
no, they're
NRA.
useless. They're useless as tits on a boar hog.
Yeah.
Sorry, they're
Not a
they're
fan.
not gonna.
I'm not
They're
a
not.
fan of the NRA. The NRA has failed us. The NSSF, I don't
I've
think.
never
I
heard a
think
word
I
from
also
anybody.
believe they failed us, in my personal opinion. But that's
Wow.
stuff that we look at maybe probably a little bit closer than you, Vince. The NRA
I
has done a lot of bad things, especially in the last couple of years here. They've misused the money that they were given. They were completely ineffective in these last elections that went by. This is why we have so many Republican turncoats and all that going on. The NSSF is just basically employed in like getting people to SHOT Show and getting money out of people.
yeah,
I know they
going
don't
up
like
and
to hear
bringing.
that from me, but I don't really see them doing anything for the
But
industry.
they're the best show in town.
But then we need to
Uh,
do
I mean,
better.
Who else is gonna fight ATF? You, me?
No, there are people, there are organizations out there that are fighting them, but I think the money is going to places, the predominant amount of that money is going to places that are not fighting. I think GOA is doing
yeah,
what it could do on a very limited budget. I think, FPC, there's other organizations out there, right, that are doing things,
nobody,
but the
They're
NRA
doing
had the
nothing.
most money.
At the end
none
of
of
the
those.
day, the American people have the voice. And I get it, it's been tamped down. I get
Mhm.
it. But Biden's gonna fucking sign a gun czar, and he wants to shoot shotguns in the sky and everything. That shit is never gonna happen.
Yeah, that's all. That's all. Okay, so let's. I want to go back to some of the stuff from Dave Chipman because I saw that people were asking questions about this. So I want to make sure I get to it. So, for example, Dave Chipman said that detachable magazines turn rifles into machine guns. This is an
You know,
ATF.
I was.
This could possibly be the new head of the ATF.
That's why he's not gonna get out of committee. Could he be the head of ATF?
Hmm.
I guess in some alternative universe, the dude is a train wreck. And I'm telling you, they're never going to let him out of committee.
Your prediction is that he won't get out of committee.
Nope.
I
Your prediction
I,
was
I, I, I never thought Biden would get elected either, my friend.
he didn't get
The
elected.
sniff-
I agree.
Biden did not
with
get
that.
elected. That was all bullshit.
Well, whatever you want to call it, the American
Do you
people are
remember
so
the last?
fucking
Do
stupid.
you remember? Do you remember the last nominee for ATF director?
Yeah,
That was
that Trump put forward was a total
Yeah, he
freaking
was an
nightmare.
anti-gunner too. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but it's a different world
Chipman.
now.
Chipman has too much baggage. He's coming in as a partisan director, and nobody wants that. The left doesn't want that. The right doesn't want that. They're like, this is a law enforcement agency.
Oh, whoa,
If-
wait! No, it is not. Stop it. ATF
It's
is not a law enforcement agency.
What
ATF
is
was set up as a taxation agency to collect taxes. They've morphed into this law enforcement thing where they go around and run around with guns and shoot people. It's not. They were not designed to be the
Wait a
FBI.
Who'd we run around and shoot?
Okay, do we have to bring up Waco and stuff like that? I mean, listen.
And
Actually,
I'm
I'm
not
gonna bring
saying-
Waco up. I'm gonna bring
I'm
Waco.
gonna back up.
Bring up Waco. A
Um,
bunch of fanatic, fucking crazy, fucking
Uh-oh.
cult-like fucking people who thought that
Americans,
making hand grenades and automatic weapons was a good thing.
Okay, listen. Let's say this.
Back up. I can tell you a lot of really, 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 really nice, good people think the same way, and they're not crazy.
We
people.
could be on the other side of that crazy train track tomorrow.
Ever get to do that. You don't ever get to hold up in a compound and buy hand grenade bodies. And
What if Chipman becomes the head of the ATF and these dudes decide to use the ATF, which is exactly the Biden's plan to take guns away from us? Yeah, what do we do? What do we do?
That will be bad because
Okay, it's bad, but what do we do about it?
Oh, then everybody, you know, this doesn't happen in a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna announce his. They're gonna announce his nomination. There's going to be subcommittee hearings, and 350 million people in this country have a voice.
These guys don't care. They don't care anymore. They don't care anymore.
There are those that do care, though.
Listen, because people decided to go to the Capitol. Okay? Because people decided to go to the Capitol, they denounced anyone coming up there to question them. But at the same time, they are pushing Americans to go out and riot and loot and all that kind of stuff. They did it before all of that. They did it before the Capitol. That's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with people who have different rules for them. They have different rules for them over us. And ultimately, we're gonna get backed into a corner.
Them is less than us.
Yes, but we will be backed into a corner, and there's gonna probably, even though they're less than us, there are people out there who will take their side based on power. I'm not saying everyone out there serving in law enforcement
will not take their side and will raise holy hell.
Yeah, but
either way that it goes, hell is getting raised, and the terrible thing about that is no one can predict what's going to happen in that. So.
I don't have a lot of faith in the American people, so to speak.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I would say I don't think Chipman should be. I don't think he should be nominated. I don't think he should be the head of the ATF. But I'm gonna do what I can to make sure that he's not. But I don't think that these people care about us. Now listen, Chipman. We're talking about Waco. Chipman was criticized, right, for his involvement in the Waco siege. And in 2020, he said that members of the Branch Davidians shot down Texas Air National Guard helicopters with 50 BMGs.
That's the biggest lie in the world.
What is your response to that, sir? And I know someone asked that earlier.
Response to that, maybe I'm gonna try another one. You're like a Caribbean dude, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna do my best Caribbean accent.
No.
All right.
Oh boy.
That man is crazy. Okay, the fact that
you did not drink enough rum. You didn't drink enough rum.
Jim Rose was the case agent on the Waco prosecution.
Mm-hmm.
Chipman was one of a dozen agents assigned to do the grunt work. He had no basis in the original raid. He didn't participate. He had no knowledge, and all he was there to do was gather the paperwork after the compound burnt down and attempt to put together a prosecution of the surviving members. He's a tool.
Listen, I'm not going to argue that with you. I think the only thing that Chipman should be the head of is the AFT, definitely not the ATF.
Exactly. AFT forever.
The problem is the media and the people who report these things are not going to report the truth about him because they're shills, as we use the word, they're shills for Biden and his bunch.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get any of them on to his face calling him a liar. You're not gonna get any of this. They're gonna dance around him like he's something special.
Yeah, but they do need to filibuster him. We need to get some Democrats to come over and not allow that guy to you know,
well, even to be in the
pass
building, he shouldn't even be in
confirmation.
the building.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
He's never getting out of committee.
yeah.
He's
I
never
hope you're
getting
right.
out of committee.
So let me get this. Go ahead.
At the
All right,
end
well-
of the day, at the end of the day,
so let me ask a
ATF
question then.
No, let
ATF
Vince finish. Go ahead.
ATF wants or needs an apolitical director. And he lost that. He already lost that.
Will you join us in the revolution if they put that guy in? Will you join us in the revolution? Will you at least call for the abolishment of the ATF or the AFT or any other such agencies?
I will call for the abolishment of the TAF.
Walter, what was your question? What was your question?
Serious question though. So Chipman doesn't make it. They throw him out. So who's next?
There is no next. There is no next. We have been without a director since 2005, I think.
Mm-hmm.
ATF is not a priority. They're
It's a horse and pony. It's a dog and pony show.
Hail Mary right now.
The country's also been without a budget for years too.
Yeah, it's a show. It's a show. It's a distraction.
It doesn't make it right though.
Yeah. Listen, let me get this this super chat up here from James Miller and hit the applause. Okay. Thanks, James Miller. Like other government bureaucracies, the ATF currently works to perpetuate their own existence. They don't exist to advance the freedom of we the people. That's from James Miller. Let me get into some questions with the time that we do have here. I'm going to ask everyone to smash those thumbs ups. Actually, here's what I want to do, because we'll try to do this rapid, Vince. I'll get your opinion, Walter's, mine. So the Biden gun control plan, right, that he announced. He called for Congress to pass legislation. So my question is, on the legislation he's calling for Congress to pass, what laws can Congress pass to stop violence that they haven't already passed?
0. They can't pass any law to prevent violence.
That's an easy one. We agree.
Violence
on that. This is going to be a special symbol right now.
Violence is a morality issue, and you can't make people moral. So
yeah. Go ahead, Vince.
No, that was it.
Yeah.
0.
Mm-hmm.
0. Knock their dicks in the dirt. If you're out there creating violence among my community, and I don't care if my community is Oakland, California, Chicago, Tennessee, where I live, knock their dicks in the dirt.
Amen, brother. I'm with that.
0 quarter, and leave the rest of the people alone.
Yep. I'm with that one. Let's move on from that one. Okay, ghost guns. The Justice Department within 30 days will issue a proposed rule to help stop the proliferation of ghost guns.
What proliferation? 36 years, I never saw one ghost gun. What proliferation? You're going to give me a heart attack. You're gonna
I don't want that. No, go easy, Vince. Go easy. But listen, don't the people have the right to make their own firearms? Haven't the people been doing that? Don't the people have the right to make?
Not without a license. No, they do not.
Yes, they do. They do.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do. You can make your own. You can't manufacture to sell.
Go to the gun control of 1968, and there are rules which you can manufacture firearms.
It's not true. You have the right to. You have the right to make and assemble your own firearms.
As long as you're not making it to sell it.
Yeah.
And for your own personal use.
Exactly. But if you're
we're not talking. No, Vince. Okay, so just to clarify with you, we're not talking about making it to sell it to people. We're talking about making it for yourself. Maybe that wasn't clear.
There's no law against that.
Okay, that's okay. So then we're in agreement on that.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. If you want to buy a fucking hunk of metal and make a gun, knock yourself out.
Okay. Yeah. So I think we're in agreement. So that was me framing that wrong then. I'll take the
Well,
money for
then
that one.
don't frame it wrong.
I'll take the blame. I'll take the blame. I'll take it. Okay, stable. Walter, did you want to talk on that, the ghost guns, before I go on? Yeah.
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay.
I'll say one thing.
Okay.
You're never going to stop. Especially the second oldest profession in America is making firearms. First one's prostitution. Second's making guns. So you're never going to stop it. Both of them. You're not going to stop either one.
Human beings have the right to have claws and teeth and defend themselves and make guns for themselves.
They want to get laid and they want to shoot guns. Boom. That's it. So
yeah.
And drink whiskey. And drink
there you
whiskey.
go.
Drink whiskey.
That's probably the second and third one right there.
Yeah. If censor it a little bit more, Vince. Hold on. Let me show. Yeah. There you go. Awesome. Yeah. Check out this book. I really think it's a really good book. I'm not just saying that. When I listened to that book, I was like, I gotta meet this dude, and we met him, and he's been coming back here on the show, and I think he's a stand-up guy for even coming on here and, like, you know, hanging out with us and being very honest and frank and all that kind of stuff. So let's go to stabilizing pistol brace. The Justice Department within 60 days will issue a proposed rule, to make clear when a device marketed as a stabilizing brace effectively turns a pistol into a short-barreled rifle subject to the requirements of the National Firearms Act. So the marketing, what the hell is happening here? This is crazy. This is crazy. All of a sudden, this thing that they said was not, was totally fine.
I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say about that. They put it on the Federal Register, public comment, advised ATF. They were way out of line on that. They rescinded it. And then Biden gets elected and like, oh, my Department of Justice is going to review this.
Yeah. It's here's one thing that I would say, that these have the right to exist, right? We went through all of this before. We dealt with this thing. They have the right to be here, and to turn around now and turn this piece of plastic is just as bad as them turning a piece of plastic, the bump stock, into a machine gun.
Yeah,
okay, it's just as bad as that, as far as I'm concerned, if not worse. And if we allow that, then they can make anything. They can make the pistol grip, anything that they want to into NFA item. Go ahead, Walt.
Once again, the government and the trust that people have, the bump stocks were approved 3 times by ATF. 3 different things on bump stocks. Now they flip on it. Okay, so you don't trust the government no more. Pistol braces. They've had numerous rulings on them. As long as you use it as a brace, you don't modify it from its original purpose. What about all those people that really need it, like that, the Americans Disability Act stuff?
Absolutely,
I never hear that brought up.
The veterans that went overseas and lost limbs, and now they can't come back to America, defend themselves, shoot for sport
I don't
or whatever.
even care about that. I don't even care about that. ATF, here's our request. You made a ruling. Game over.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
More than once.
Yes. Okay, let's go to red flag laws. The Justice Department within 60 days will publish model, quote-unquote, red flag legislation for states.
Funny they call it red flag. The Russian old flag was red too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like Vince said, don't we have enough laws already?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Vince already said this. We have laws that these guys don't use. Why are we creating specific laws that take away due process from Americans?
Right. Where you can just, like these no-knock raids and all this stuff where you don't need a warrantless raid. You don't need a warrant. Well, that guy's got a gun. Let's go get him. It's like, one thing that's going to happen is some of these police are going to get shot.
It's incredibly dangerous. Well, already there's citizens that have died in this process.
Red flag laws are entirely too ambiguous. Okay, so
now they want to nationalize it for the whole country. Sorry, go ahead, Vince.
So my son or daughter at 13 years old or 15 years old said, I want to kill myself. I hate myself, which all my sons and daughters said at some point or another. But it got documented somewhere. And now they're 23 years old, getting married, and their husband wants a gun. And somebody goes, she said when she was 15 years old, she wants to kill herself or fucking end her life or do whatever. I'm like,
Yeah.
Don't get it.
No, it's basically, in my opinion, it amounts to pre-crime, and that's unconstitutional. And once again, I mean, you know, if he wants to nationalize red flag laws, his frickin' son should not have Secret Service around him, should
There
not be
you
allowed to
go.
have any
There you
weapons.
have it. Well, you know
And
what?
besides,
You might find this a little bit funny.
Mhm.
Not that it would happen, but in anticipation, because I pissed ATF off and I
oh,
called their baby ugly. You know what I told my wife? If any feds ever come to our door and knock on the door and say, "Hey, we just like to talk to you," you know what I told her? Shut the door. Say I have nothing to say.
Mhm.
thank you. Exactly.
Yeah, amen. Everyone should take that advice that Vince just
Yeah,
gave you.
they really
Right there.
should, because right now the government is not looking out for our communal best
Mhm.
interest.
I just saw some video, and I have to dig into it. I have to admit this to you guys. It's a little bit of a sidetrack. I just saw some video. I think John Crump shared it, but I know it's in other places, where these cops went after some kids in the street riding bicycles, and confiscated the bikes and all that kind of stuff, just because the kids were outside riding bicycles. So you know, it's stuff that's coming out there. So I don't want to get super deep into it. But we have and let me tell you, it wasn't like one or two cops. It was like 5 to 7 rolled up on some kids on bicycles because they were out in the streets riding bicycles.
I
This,
have no idea what you're talking
Yeah.
about. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just telling you, this crazy ass lockdown that we're in. And besides which, another thing that brings up for me. Another thing that brings up is something that I was talking to Walter and Patrick about earlier today. Like, there's a report. Let me see if I can run this in from the Wall Street Journal. There's a report where they're saying because of the COVID-19 lockdowns, there's here we go. Hold on. Let me see if I can put this up here. So COVID-19 / carbon emissions, now they're climbing again. The International Energy Agency expects a 4.8% rise this year, the biggest annual gain since 2010, and is saying soaring carbon emissions this year are on track to reverse a big chunk of last year's sharp reduction with some climate research. Basically, it's going on to say here that
Hank,
because we're coming out of the lockdowns, we're destroying the planet. What's up?
Hank. Anybody been watching the news lately? There's about 5 or 6 volcanoes going off all at the same fucking time all over the world.
Um, these so-called scientists,
They put out so much shit at one time that you can't even measure the amount of shit.
Listen to me.
Out.
These so-called scientists that say that wearing masks are going to keep us from getting a microscopic, infection, right, from little tiny little microbes. Those same scientists say that those volcanoes aren't putting off as much emissions as what cars and stuff like that are. But here's my thing behind this. The reason why this lockdown has overrun and gone over a year is because these people feel like this is how they can control us and somehow save the planet.
It's power. No, it's not about. It's power.
But why are we spending 1 second talking about it? It ain't gonna happen. It ain't happening. AOC can kiss my ass. The world's not gonna die in 12 years. Just stop. Stop. I thought I was here to talk about gun shit. Now we're talking about the Green New Deal. You're fucking killing me, man.
Vince, when they were showing this at St. Vincent Island, the volcanoes going off and there's lava going all over the place, and they're worried about people wearing a mask to get on the cruise ship to evacuate. It's like, okay, there's a volcano over here, and I'm worried about getting...
Or people having you having a COVID vaccine passport in order
card,
to get on
your
there.
Papers.
Okay, so here's the final thing I want to get into before we wrap up or whatever here. So they said that the Justice Department will issue an annual report on firearms tracking, which I discussed this earlier. What the hell what's that all about?
It's gonna be embellished. It's gonna be under the new Attorney General's vision of what firearms trafficking is. Not one person is going, you know what? We got Chicago happening. We got New York happening. We got Minneapolis happening. We got South LA happening. They're going to say, aha, guns are going across the border and guns are being handed out nationwide and blah, blah, blah. And
Who was that? That wasn't my kids.
that
Oh, that's one of your babies.
cigarettes.
Oh, okay. Is that the wife?
I believe they probably already have every year, like all the statistics they compile about violent death and this, that, and the other. They have all this. They do this every year. It's not something new they're going to start doing. But it's interesting when they start compiling these. They say about homicides. You know what they call a homicide? When somebody does this, that's a homicide. When somebody when the gang violence goes on, that's a homicide. But they lump it all into one big thing so they can build their numbers big and nice and impressive. So
Yeah.
I would be suspect of any report that comes out from the federal government regarding firearms trafficking. If you remember, after Fast and Furious, the Department of Justice said we are ceasing all multiple sales of firearms along the 4 border
the
states.
border. Yeah.
Not anywhere else in the country, just the borders. Oh, you mean because you were letting guns go across there? Now you have the stats to support your vision of guns going to Mexico?
Yeah. So my question to you, like, I know that's bullshit, and I think we all agree on that. This is something that basically is your ballpark, right? Where do you think the real problem is coming from, and where do you think the real trafficking is? Where do you think this is really happening outside of, like, what happened with ATF?
If I had to say, I would say it was the dehumanizing of America, the lack of family values, like so much in our schools, our children's upbringing, fatherless families. I mean, it's not any one thing, but I don't think you can legislate your way out of it. We have to pull together as a country and say, for example, so they're all grouped up in Minneapolis tonight over the Chauvin trial and blah, blah, blah. Why aren't they walking through the streets of South Chicago demanding, you're killing our babies, you're killing our families, you're disrupting our communities with your violence? Why aren't they up there like 10,000 strong?
I agree with you. I mean, that's a good question.
There's no money in that, then.
Well, because if you do that, the Black Lives Matter chick is not going to be able to buy a couple of houses in Hollywood.
There's no money in
the
it.
Point. Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, whoever, they're not going to South Chicago. Benjamin Crump, he ain't going to South Chicago because they got no money.
Yeah. They also don't really want to fix the problem. The worst part of this is people in America are just using this as a political football. They're not interested in actually fixing this problem. Okay, there's a for real problem here, and there's things that we can do about it and ways that we could go back against it. And I think one of the biggest ways is people in these communities need to be able to police their own communities. You can't hire enough cops and do all that kind of stuff. People need to learn how to save themselves and can save themselves. Go ahead, Walter.
As was stated, there's the breakdown of the family, and a gun's not going to fix that. No. There's the leaders and what these people and these communities see on television and the videos, and the people they think are God, shaking their ass in the street and doing all that stuff. That's why you have what you have. There's nobody saying, hey, that's maybe not the way you want to act in public. Maybe you not want to do that, but that's the accepted way now. So,
yeah.
How can I can't tell that person the way to act. That's not my job, you know.
Yeah, we're being completely broken down. But here's my thing. I think, as we're winding down here, why do you break a person down, right? Why is this happening? Like, I'm talking about a person, but it's happening on a mass level, right? On a macro level in America. Why are they taking Americans and breaking us down and bending us? Oh, okay. Shout out to Marlboro for for keeping Vince going there. Why are they doing that to us? It's like a pimp or a drug dealer. Why do you want to destroy? Why do you want to take everything away from a person? Why do you want to make them bend over backwards so that you could enslave them?
Well, I think the problem is we got 50 states. And so you got your Iowans and your Tennesseans, me, and you got your Arkansas folks going, that shit ain't affecting me.
Your Arkansanians.
Whatever.
I'm making that up. Uh-huh.
It's like, that's not affecting me today as much as I hate it. Because every day, I go on there and look how many people have been shot in Chicago, and it literally breaks my heart. Literally.
The little girl that got killed because I think they went after her dad.
That.
Until those people in those neighborhoods and take charge and get rid of those politicians that allow it to happen, it's not going to change.
Well, yeah, they got to work.
I can't fix that. You can't fix that, Vince.
But
everyone could, because we can fix it. We can fix it.
Of course they do.
Mm-hmm.
All of life matters. Black lives matter.
Listen. When I say we could fix it, the people of those communities can fix it. Yes, it does start by getting rid of those politicians. It starts by taking responsibility for your neighborhoods and the safety of your family, your children, and your property. Take responsibility for it.
You know what would happen? Do you know what would happen? And I live in a little rural community in Tennessee. But if some shit flared up here and there were drive-bys and a little girl got killed and whatever, do you know how quick I'd be in the middle of that, patrolling the streets, offering my assistance, giving money, protesting, getting in the sheriff's face, getting in the black community's face or the brown community's face or whoever was doing the harm? I'd be all over that. In Chicago, it's like, it's just another weekend.
Another day.
Because it's a money business. There's a money thing behind it, and the people are suffering. The people who are losing their family members, they're the ones suffering. The gang members are signing up for this life. Huh?
Why isn't Benjamin Crump or Al Sharpton or Joe Biden or any white politician or black politician in Chicago right now saying this shit ends now?
Because it's too painful. It's too painful to face that fact. But we can't fix ourselves unless we can face those kinds of facts.
Yeah. You have to also realize who's doing what, and it's not easy to do when you have to blame your own.
But but this is what it is. There's white communities. There's poor white communities out there that there's crime, and guess what? It's some white people out there creating it, right? There's poor Latino, poor Asian, poor this, poor that communities, right?
You have to call these people out and take and do the business, and this needs to be done, and people aren't willing to do the business.
You have to say no. The worst thing that ever happened was when the Seattle police precinct surrendered, and
it's because the people let that happen.
You have to correct
the people let it happen. And that's the thing, the people should have never let that happen there, and people around the country should not let that happen. But I think in smaller places where you have sheriffs, and the sheriffs have the ability, the sheriff departments, like my sheriff department is a small department in a big, massive area, but they have the ability to deputize people, right? And they know people who are living in the community, like you said, for different reasons, that they're able to go to lean on to deputize and to do that kind of stuff. And we need to just take responsibility for this and really fix it instead of doing all this nonsense we're talking about.
We need to lock arms and say enough. We just need to say enough.
Yeah.
There's enough that we agree on that we don't need to be figuring out what we don't agree on. We just need to lock arms and say, this stops now.
Yeah, and we don't need laws.
The looting, the division stops now, and we can end it.
Yeah. We don't need any new laws to do it. Okay, listen, we're over the time here. So here's what I want to do. I want to go around the clock here and let these two guys. I really appreciate Walter coming in here. Walter, you always
look terrible, man.
My you're not smoking or drinking enough, obviously.
I'm done.
Vince looks good. Vince looks good. Yeah, so listen. Yeah, hold on one second. I'm gonna give you a chance here. Walter, tell the folks how they can reach out to you, communicate with you, support you.
Real easy. Safety Hour Firearms is on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Dirtfoot Racing's on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Sten Parts, same thing. StenParts.com, SafetyHourFirearms.com. Giving it to Vince.
Absolutely. I would ask you guys to reach out to Walter, support him, buy some stuff from Safety Harbor Firearms as well as StemParts.com. Vince, how can the folks out there support you? How can they communicate with you? Where's the book?
www.ratsnakesbook.com or on Amazon. And hey, Walt, it was really good being on with you.
Yeah, good talking to you. Yep.
It was educational, and I learned something every time I'm on here. And Hank, you're the best, brother.
Awesome. Listen, thank you. I would like to thank both of you guys. Vince, thanks for coming on, man. I would agree with you. I learned things from you. I always appreciate talking to you. And I'm grateful that you took the time to come on here. I'm also grateful that you're still out there kicking ass, man.
Thanks, guys. Love you, man.
All right. So listen, everyone stay there. Vince, if you got to go, you can go, but everyone stay there. I'm going to run. Yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna run in the end here for everyone else out there. I would just encourage you guys to smash the thumbs ups and ring the bell. Big shout out to Barnauls. Thanks to them for supporting us here. I'm gonna run in the end. We're gonna come back. Walter, you're gonna give us words of wisdom. All right, okay. So let's run the end in here. All right, guys, thanks for joining us. This has been a fun show. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, share this with your friends. We're going to rip the audio out of this and throw it up on iTunes and all the other places that you get your audio podcasts from. People are listening to us from all over the world. We appreciate that. And we especially appreciate the folks listening to us and supporting us here in America. Walter, what are your words of wisdom, sir?
Get you some parts. Make yourself some guns.
Yeah, and we're going to do something with this, Walt. I think we'll put this on something.
Oh, I can find. We'll find something to put it on.
Yeah, for anyone out there who's interested, this is the BTR arm. Yeah, this is so Barnauls has these. If anyone's looking for them, Barnauls has them.
I like the way it looks, man.
It's actually pretty cool. I'm gonna throw it on something.
Yeah, we're gonna have to build us. We're gonna have to build. I can't say it on.
A little pea shooter. All right, listen. Thanks so much to everyone out there. Big thanks to Vince for joining us and hanging out here with us. Also, Walter doing. Yes, absolutely he is. He's awesome. Thanks to Walter for doing double duty. Everyone out there, appreciate you guys. We'll see you back here tomorrow. We are out. Peace.
Be civil, folks. Be civil.
Absolutely.